Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Danny and today we're going to be looking at my August TBR. Before we get started, I'm going to do what I did in the last video and I'm going to recap some of the books that I did not get to in my July TBR that I do still plan on getting to. I'm going to carry them into this month. And there is one book on my July TBR that I did not get to that I soft DNF. I had a couple of hard DNFs, which I'll talk about those in my highs and lows videos, but I have a soft DNF and I'll start there first. So that book was Demon in White. I think you guys can see it. Yeah, it's right here, which is the third book in the Sun Eater series. And I started listening to this on audio, even though I have a physical copy, but I just tried to listen to it on audio. And I just wasn't getting into it. And I know that I've really enjoyed the series so far, and I know it takes me a while to get into it, but I felt like if I kept pushing myself, I wasn't going to enjoy it. And so I'm gonna put that one aside for now, and I will get to it sometime in the future. Hopefully I can pick it up again in the next few months, but I think I'm going to take a break for a little bit and not push myself to go through that. There are 3 books on my July TBR that I didn't get to that I do plan on carrying into the month of August. So I'm not going to talk about those here as far as the synopsis because I talked about those in my July TBR. So I'll link that video if you guys are interested in these, but just so you know kind of my reading plans for the month. One of those is Yumi and the Nightmare Painter. So this is the Secret Project number 3, Brandon Sanderson's book box that came in the month of July, and I'm really excited to get to this. I just didn't have time to do it in July, and so I'm definitely going to pick this up in August. The next book is Meet Your Maker, which is like a cozy mystery. And the next book, which has been on my TBR for now going on 3 months, is Engines of Empire. And I have started this. So as of recording this video, this is June 28th, and I have started this today, but I definitely am not going to finish it in June. And so in July. This is July 28th, not June 28th, but I will finish this in August, but I'm starting it in July. On to my August TBR, so the new books on my TBR for this month. One of those is Frankenstein. This was on my June TBR, but it just didn't end up working. This is a buddy read that I have with Ginny Chastain, and so I'm excited to get to Frankenstein. I don't think I need to describe what Frankenstein is, but I'm excited to get to this classic horror novel. I really have enjoyed the retellings of Frankenstein that I've read recently, and so I'm thinking I'm gonna love this. The next book on my TBR is another buddy read, and that is The Obelisk Gate. This is book 2 in the Broken Earth trilogy, I think is what it's called, by N.K. Jemisin. The first book is the 5th season, and Leandra and I buddy read this together in July. Yes, in July. And I gave the 5th season 5 stars. If you guys haven't watched my 5-star video that I posted recently, I will link that as well so you guys can check that out. I really enjoyed the 5th season, and so I'm really excited to continue this with Leandra. We've had a lot of fun talking back and forth on Instagram because the series is quite complex. If you haven't ever heard of this series, I won't talk about it in length because it's been a couple of videos that I've talked about it, but it is a dystopian sci-fi novel that focuses in on 3 women who are living in this world that has what's called 5th seasons. And 5th seasons are where apocalyptic events happen and the world becomes very difficult to live in. And so you follow their stories and how they have to live in this world with these experiences. The next 4 books that are on this TBR are for Tackle Your TBR, which is hosted over at Kirsten's channel at The Reading Nymph. I will link her channel down below and the announcement video for the readathon. I have participated in this readathon twice now, and I've really enjoyed it. The 4 prompts for the readathon are really just to help you tackle your TBR. It is occurring on August 19th this month, and Kirsten has a Discord over on her channel, so like I said, you can see all of that information on her announcement video if you guys are interested in participating. The 4 prompts are a book on your TBR, a continuation of a series, the shortest book on your TBR, and a book that you've been putting off. So I'm not going to go in any particular order. I'm just going to tell you the books that I have for this readathon. I'm really excited about this. The readathon is designed to do it in 24 hours, but you can kind of spread it out however you would like. You can do it within the week, you can do it within the month, but I believe Kirsten tries to do hers all within the 24 hours. And so I'm going to try and do the same. I'm going to try and do it all within 24 hours. obviously giving myself time to sleep. I can't skip sleep. And so, but yeah, so the first on this list is Death Note. This is a series or a manga series that is, the only thing I really know about it is that there is a notebook that if you write a person's name in this notebook, they die. And the notebook somehow ends up in the hands of a mortal, and that mortal kind of has to figure out to use it for good. I think the premise is that they want to use it for good, but then they run into some obstacles that make it harder for them to use it for good. So I'm interested to see where this goes. A lot of people love this series or this manga, and so I'm interested to see what I think. The next book for Tackle Your TBR for me is actually going to be between two books, depending on what comes in on Libby on time. So the first book is The Daughter of the Pirate King. This book is by Tricia Levensellar, which is an author that I've really enjoyed, and I believe this is her debut novel, and so I'm excited to see kind of her first work. It's about the daughter of a pirate king who is the pirate captain of her own ship, and she purposely gets herself kidnapped by another crew so she can search for something on their ship. And yeah, I think it sounds intriguing. It's young adult, I believe, and so if this is kind of my backup, because I own a copy, and so I'm not in a super big rush to read it. The book that I have on hold on Libby that I'm not sure is going to come in on time is A Memory Called Empire. And this book is a sci-fi book that I've had on my TBR forever. And the only thing I know about it is there is an aristocrat of some sort, an ambassador, sorry, not an aristocrat, who travels to, I believe it's another world, because I think this is also space opera-y. They travel to another world to be an ambassador for their people because the ambassador for their people has been killed, and not in it's essentially they know that the person has been murdered, or they suspect that the person has been murdered, and they're worried that they're also going to be murdered. So not only do they have to balance protecting their own people and being an ambassador for their own people, they have to figure out this crime that has happened as well. So we'll see if A Memory Called Empire comes into Libby, that will be the one that I read for the readathon. But if not, it will be the Daughter of the Pirate King. I win either way. The next book for Tackle Your TBR is called Antimatter Blues, and this is the second book in the Mickey 7 series, and I think it might be the last book in the series. I'm not sure. This is a new series, so I'm not sure if they're going to end it there and make it a duology, or if they're going to continue, but I won't talk about this book's plot because of the fact that it is a sequel. But if you've never heard of Mickey 7, you follow Mickey 7, who is an expendable. And expendables are essentially regenerated humans. So it's not an AI, but it's a human person whose memories have been stored, and then they are put back into their regeneration or their next iteration when they die. And they're called expendables because while terraforming different planets and exploring different planets, very dangerous things can happen. And so when they know that they're going on a quote unquote suicidal mission, they will send an expendable instead of sending a normal human. And the reason Mickey 7 is called Mickey 7 is because he is the 7th iteration of the original Mickey. And he is sent out essentially to die. He is expected to have died, and he does not. And when he comes back, Mickey 8 has taken his place, and he kind of has to figure out how to live with that realization. It was really fun, and I'm excited to see where they go with the story. The next and last book for Tackle Your TBR is called Silver in the Woods. This is a novella. It is one of the shortest books on my TBR, and it's been on my TBR forever. I don't know a ton about it other than there is a man who lives out in the woods who kind of wants to forget his past, and I believe that some things come to light, some dangerous things come to light that he has to reconcile with. I think there's some type of magic going on in the woods as well. I didn't want to read too much on it because it's only like 120 something pages, and so I don't want to spoil myself for anything. So I hope I like this one. The last 4 books on this TBR are just books that I'm interested in starting this month, and the first of which I am super late to the game, but I keep hearing people talk about it, and so I want to jump on the hype train, even though the hype train has well past the station, but I want to read Red Rising. So I've never picked up this series, and I'm sure I don't need to explain. This is a sci-fi, I think dystopian type. I don't know that it's quite dystopian because I think If I remember correctly, there is a character in this who lives on Mars, but in the caves of Mars, and mining certain materials that need to be used to terraform Mars for to inhabit Mars. And they are told, the main character and their people are told that they need to do this in order to save the rest of humanity. And they find out that they have been tricked and that Mars has been inhabitable for a really long time, and whoever is controlling this situation has essentially been using them as slaves to get the material in these caves that they want. And there's a rebellion in this book. So I'm excited to finally get to this series. This is absolutely beloved on BookTube, and so I'm really excited about this. This series was also very highly recommended by K Collects Books, who is a new booktuber. Her name is Kennedy. So if you guys haven't checked out her channel, go and give Kennedy some love. The next is 1,000 Recipes for Revenge. This is a book I have not heard very many people talk about on BookTube, but I keep hearing rumblings within some Discords that I'm in, and yeah, that's pretty much it. But it sounds really interesting. This is, I believe, within the synopsis it talked about swashbuckling, and that to me sounds piratey. And there is a person in this book who has some type of magic involving food, and specifically desserts. And the last book I read about magic and desserts was I can't remember the book title, but it was a T. Kingfisher book. I'll put the title up on the screen so you guys can see. And I really enjoyed it. And this is an adult novel, not a middle grade like T. Kingfisher's book. But I don't know, I enjoy the principle of having magical powers and then maybe using it for revenge. It also talks about how this book features a mother and a daughter on the run for their lives. So we'll see. The next book is The Witness for the Dead, and this is a standalone, but also in the same world as The Goblin Emperor, which I really enjoyed. If you haven't ever read The Goblin Emperor, you follow Maya, who is half goblin, and he becomes the emperor after his father and brothers all die mysteriously, and he kind of gets thrown into this political realm that he was not raised to be in, and you get to see him figure out how to do that. Well, within that book, you have a character who is a witness for the dead, and the witness for the dead can speak to the dead and see, well, I should say it can sometimes speak to the dead and can see kind of their last moments. And so he's really useful in mysteries of people getting murdered. And so the witness for the dead is supposed to follow that character. So I'm interested to continue in this world. I wonder if we're going to see any of Maya or if we're going to completely be removed from the palace, because I believe this character is now living in a different location. But yeah, I'm excited to get to this one. The Goblin Emperor was super cozy, even though it was very political. And if they continue with that, this author is one that was on I think it was my mid-year freakout tag where I talked about potential favorite authors. And Katherine and Addison could definitely be one of those. The last book on my TBR, this is really more of a TBR hopeful because I currently have 10 books plus 3 that I'm carrying over from July. And so I'm not sure that I'm going to get to this, but I really, really want to. This is a book I pre-ordered. It is called The Labyrinths Heart. This is the third and final book in the Rook and the Rose series, which is right here. The first book was The Mask of Mirrors, and I have just absolutely loved this series, and so I'm really, really excited for the finale. I can't wait to get to it. I've really enjoyed learning about the Rook and the Rose. I can't tell you much about the plot of this because I don't want to spoil anything from the first 2 books, but if you've never heard of Mask of Mirrors, it is about a young girl named Renata, who shortened to Ren, who she's essentially a con artist, and she is trying to trick one of the noble classes into accepting her as a family member and essentially stealing all of their stuff and, hightailing it out there and creating her own life somewhere else. And she gets herself into kind of more than she bargained for when she realizes the noble house that she has tried to trick is in financial peril and has to kind of navigate that. It is a Venetian setting, if I haven't already said that, and there are 2 separate magic systems kind of at war in this book. And I will say, if you do pick it up, give it a little bit, because this is definitely heavy on fantasy lingo. If you've ever read a book that has like a glossary in the back, a fantasy book that has a glossary in the back, these are definitely those, and there will be words that you are not going to understand, and you kind of have to roll with the punches but I really enjoyed these. They are dense fantasy novels, but I've really enjoyed the characters within them and the storylines. The magic systems are really well developed. So I'm excited to see how this trilogy ends. So those are the books that I plan to read in August. What are you guys planning on reading this month? Are you excited about anything in particular? Let me know in the comments down below. I would love to chat with you guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you have a lovely evening, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.